It's no secret that I love The Messenger. I've made 3 videos on the game after all, but there's one challenge I've yet to conquer, and I don't mean beating the dark cave with no candle. I haven't yet made a video talking about the complete lore of The Messenger. Every good game has a video about the complete lore of said game. Hollow Knight has one, and even Nuclear Throne has one. But The Messenger doesn't have one of these videos, so I'll be taking the reins for this one. Also, a little side note, my previous video did pretty well, so I'm gonna have this video be in a similar format to the last one. Let's start at the beginning. We know that there were the 2 guardian gods. The shopkeeper says the guardian gods were once legendary heroes that ascended into gods. We don't know much about the guardian gods, but we know they'll play a bigger role in the prequel game that Sabotage is making. Then we know the world was flooded. The gods the people worshipped watched helplessly as the world got flooded, and then only one single piece of land remained. And then these gods were exterminated by the demon army. Humanity gathered the survivors and built a huge temple, the Forlorn Temple. A couple stepped up to be the leaders of the humans. These 2 were known as Muse and Phantom. Muse had a beautiful voice and an ability to create otherworldly trinkets. Phantom was a stoic, fearless, and mysterious ruler. After about a decade of peace, the sky flashed red, and an army of demons had made their way to the human realm. How did they find their way to the human realm? Nobody really knows, but it could be due to the fact that all the demons have some sort of magic. I think the most likely outcome was that they were destroying worlds, and the human world just happened to be next. That's why there was about a decade of peace before they arrived. So the gods were killed by the demons. Muse and Phantom inspired everyone to prepare for the onslaught, but the demon army was too strong. They lost the temple and Muse was killed. Phantom picked up Muse's final creation, a music box. A music box? It was THE music box, Starwasher. Yeah, I know. I'm just quoting the music box cutscene. So the humans abandoned the temple to the Demon King, and Phantom led the survivors to the western edge of the island. The people rebuilt at the west, but Phantom decided to push his luck. Phantom was mad. He went towards the temple in order to take down the Demon King. The Demon King was insulted by the boldness of Phantom. The Demon King is weird. Who gets insulted by the boldness of a person? The Demon King wanted a punishment worse than death for Phantom. He corrupted the music box, and he made this music box into a tether to the human realm. Every 500 years they would come back to torture humanity, until they surrendered to extinction. Phantom was forced to wear the cursed mask, which would steal his mind and keep him in a constant state of distress. He was inserted into the music box. He would play the organ forever to keep the relic's magic alive. But Phantom was so woke that he could fight to get rid of the curse. He needed to find a way to make his people cooperate across generations. He knew that time travel was the key. With his sanity draining, he wrote a scroll imbuing it with power to attune the carrier to time magic. He teleported the scroll to the people's hideout. The scroll let them see manifestations, things that not every mind could stand. Very few were so woke that they could carry the scroll. They were known as the Messengers. Oh, that's the name of the game? Yo! Why do I do this? The Messengers had access to the Void, a safe haven outside of time. The Messengers from all time periods would soon gather there. It was the perfect meeting point for the Endless War. But meeting people from this future or someone's alternate self could be troubling for some. This is some Back to the Future crap. After a few incidents of more messengers going into shock, they decide to conceal their identities. This is the reason why they wear blue robes. So the Order was founded, and they built the Tower of Time to be their headquarters. Every curse cycle would have its champion, who would join the order after they passed the scroll to the next messenger. After many cycles, the music box was finally reclaimed from the Forlorn Temple. They couldn't destroy it because it was too powerful, but a new hope was founded. Very mysterious forces started to materialize in the form of magical music notes. After a particularly gifted messenger managed to gather 2 of them, this messenger was the monk. Well, in theory it was the monk. This isn't actually confirmed, but we know that this gifted messenger was a female. The monk managed to collect 2 of the music notes, the Key of Revenge and the Key of Adventure. There's some more info that I should talk about for the music notes. The music notes materialize when a specific emotion is repeated enough times. The music notes also represent the world's intention to save itself. After the 2 music notes were collected, an idea emerged, an idea crazy enough that it might work. They could create a melody strong enough to breach the music box's protection spell. Maybe a messenger could enter it and rescue Phantom. So there you have it. That's the beginning. That's the information before the game. And yeah, most of that was from literally one cutscene, so we have a long road ahead of us. You start the game in the Ninja Village, a village where the humans train and hide away from the demon army. Ninja, the character you play as, really isn't interested in all this magic scroll and demon army stuff. He was the rebellious type, you could say. But it was that time again. The demons attacked and they terrorized the village. But Bowman, the Western hero, arrived. Now, you might think that Bowman was the previous messenger before you, but that's just not correct. The monk was the previous messenger before you, but she got corrupted, so she couldn't deliver the scroll to you. The Bowman had to finish the journey. Also, a little side note, the Bowman was an ex-messenger. He actually was the one who took out Barmathazel's eye. The Demon King retreats and sends Barmathazel to spy on you. The Bowman gives you a magic scroll, and you begin your journey to the top of the highest mountain. After journeying through the Autumn Hills for a little bit, you come across one of the best characters in the game, the Shopkeeper. The Shopkeeper mentions that she is a mystic creature who mentors you, and she mentions the 3 sages from her order, referring to the Artificer and the Prophet. She also mentions John Gaiden, who will come up later in the story. But this name is also a play on Ninja Gaiden, which the messenger takes a lot of inspiration from. The Shopkeeper also mentions how the shop is when in time and not where. So it's kind of connected more to time rather than being somewhere. The Shopkeeper also mentions how leaf monsters only come out during full moons. Kind of a weird bit of information. You'll leave the hills and arrive in the catacombs. Don't worry, I'll talk about the Forlorn Temple later. The catacombs is your standard video game level with skeletons, bats, and evil wizards, but the Shopkeeper does reveal some interesting information. She says that she studies magic in her shop, and Ruxton, the necromancer, is the boss of this area. The Order doesn't know much about Ruxton, because he is a newcomer to necromancy, and he plans on taking over the world with his undead army. Ruxton isn't actually a skeleton, and he wanted to raise an army in order to impress the Demon King and get recruited to eventually serve the Fleshmancer. Ruxton also has a talking staff that really wants to do evil stuff, but sadly he can't move. At this point in the game you reach the Bamboo Creek. It's a bamboo forest filled with rivers and waterfalls. You were originally supposed to get the Key of Adventure in this area. This suggests that the Key of Adventure was found by the monk in this area. The Shopkeeper talks about how the time shards you collect can be used to augment your abilities. We don't know how it works because the Shopkeeper says it's just complicated. There actually isn't a boss in Bamboo Creek because it's nice for vacations. And because it's nice for vacations, bosses don't go there for some reason. You then enter the Howling Grotto. This area actually has a little bit of lore this time, unlike all these previous areas. The grotto used to inhabit a race of cave-dwelling creatures that built structures out of emeralds in the cave. The boss is the Emerald Golem. I speculate that the green wisp creature that controls the golem is one of those creatures I talked about earlier, one of the cave-dwelling creatures. The golem is mining the emeralds, and it just so happens to kill messengers along the way. This whole thing is literally just a big misunderstanding. Next up is the Quillshroom Marsh. This area is ruled by the Queen of Quills, and the area is corrupted by mushrooms. The shopkeeper says that she tried to find an artifact in the mud, but we'll get back to that later. The area used to be ruled by the Primal Fear. The Primal Fear is what is known as a primal. Primals are huge incarnations of extreme emotions. Fear was destroyed by the monk, and with the fear's final breath, the monk was cursed. That turned the monk into the Queen of Quills, who turns trespassers into fungi, meaning that pretty much every mushroom in this area used to be a person at some point. Monk is what is known as a fallen. Fallen are messengers who came to a tragic end and their powers were corrupted by demon magic. After you defeat Monk, you see her greed demon, who does the same thing as Quarble, but to the monk instead. Time to visit the Searing Crags. Searing Crags is a red mountain at the base of the glacial peak. The crags used to be an active volcano until a flood occurred and made it dormant. One could only speculate that this flood occurred on the account of the snow in the glacial peak melting, somehow, and the water from that flooded the crags. There's not much going on with the boss of this area. Kolos and Suzis are two colossi that are growing the power thistle in order to flavor their stew. Giving them the power thistle allows you to get the key of strength. They die waiting for the power thistle because they are not smart. So we finally make it to the glacial peak, the place we're supposed to bring the scroll to. Glacial Peak is a pretty standard mountain area, but you'll notice some statues of the blue robes as you go up the mountain. There actually isn't much stuff to this area if we're being honest. But when you reach the top, you find out that the shopkeeper is a member of the Order, and you meet the other two remaining members, the Artificer and the Prophet. You hold the scroll above your head, and you summon the Tower of Time. The Tower of Time goes to the scroll when the messenger needs it. That's why it came to you when you held the scroll above your head. The Tower of Time is a challenge designed for messengers to test them. The tower showcases important figures specifically for the messenger in the tower. That's why I chose the bowman, who gave you the scroll, the creator, aka Phantom, because you're the one who saves him, the monk, who helps you in the ending and helps you get some of the music notes, and finally the Iron Hood, who made the upgrades. He made the rope dart, the glider, and the climbing claws. The tower pushes the messenger to their limits, and it kills the messenger if they are not worthy. Quarble technically shouldn't be with you, but the only reason he is because of gameplay reasons. In theory, most of the Order has completed this challenge. The Bowman, the Iron Hood, the Monk, the Shopkeeper, and the Prophet have probably beaten it. The Artificer has maybe beat the challenge, but the Artificer made the challenge, so he doesn't really have to beat it. At the end of the challenge, the Order does the thing! And they transform into the Arcane Golem, which is a robot made by the Artificer, and it is powered by the Order. Anyone who has been attuned to the scroll does have the ability to do the thing. Also, I want to show you guys the beta Arcane Golem and the first concept of the Arcane Golem. These things look so cool. I kind of wish they were actually in the game. Let's take a break and talk about the members of the Order, starting with the Shopkeeper. The Shopkeeper runs the shop, even if she doesn't look like a shopkeeper. The Shopkeeper was actually the very first member of the Order and the very first messenger. We also know that the Shopkeeper is not the Bowman because the Bowman is a man and the Shopkeeper is a female. So it's impossible for them to be the same. Her ancestor was the one who built the Clockwork Castle, which houses some important artifacts, and it also happens to be the place where the Clockwork Concierge works, and it plays a pretty big role in the ARG. Now, let's talk about the Artificer. The Artificer is obsessed with doing the thing. The Artificer made both the Tower of Time challenge and the Arcane Golem. The Artificer has also been studying the corrupted future in order to prevent it from happening. He has a bit of a one-track mind. He is always interested in the thing, and he is very proud of himself for making the challenge and always lets you repeat it. He even wants Phantom to try out the challenge as well. One of the only reasons he is researching the corrupted future is because he wants to learn what's inside the portal, because he wants to win a bet against the Shopkeeper. The Artificer isn't even a human. He's a robot that was built to keep the memory of genius child engineers alive. The artificer also works for the Clockwork Concierge. What he does for the concierge is a mystery. The artificer was the one who gave the scroll to the monk. Next up is the prophet. The prophet usually recites the prophecy, and he uses his epic voice to talk most of the time. He believes the prophecy is absolute, and we have to follow it in order to rescue Phantom. He was visited by the Western hero during a Dungeons & Dragons session with his friends. He carried the scroll across the island, and he became a blue robe, and to this very day he still thinks it's some part of an epic D&D night. Finally, there's the Iron Hood. The Iron Hood was the one who made the climbing claws, the wingsuit, and the rope dart. But he then hid himself in the money sink, and now he makes toys, and he tends to laugh while talking. Also, the Iron Hood's actual name is John Gaydon, the guy that the shopkeeper talked about at the very beginning. The Iron Hood used to be a warrior, but he hid so he wouldn't die, but you can still see his sword on the back shelf of his shop. So, here's where things get complicated. So let's just get some of the complicated stuff out of the way. All of the blue robes are from different time periods. The prophet is probably from the future because he was playing D&D with his friends when the hero visited him. The monk can travel to the past, and so none of this is very linear. It's just kind of all over the place. The Tower of Time is pretty much everywhere in time, so that's kind of how it works. So that's really like the main complicated stuff out of the way. After completing the Tower of Time, you get sent to the future. Let's get to the Cloud Ruins. The Cloud Ruins was the home of the Sky Giants before the Sky Giants were eradicated by the demons. The boss of this area is Manfred, a sky serpent who was corrupted by Barmathazel's magic. And when you defeat him, he gets freed and becomes your friend. He's the last of his kind and can grant wishes every new moon. He wants to be a butler, and the Clockwork Concierge is his hero. Barmathazel reveals himself as the guy in the brown cloak and sends the ninja to the underworld. The underworld is the base for the demons. After getting through the demon's lair, you encounter Barmathazel, the demon general. He is known for being very fast, and he disguises himself as the Wanderer, aka the guy in the brown cloak. He also has a secret ability that was lost when the Bullman took out one of his eyes. And judging by some of the stuff from the IRG, his ability was to petrify people, because a deleted message from the Clockwork Concierge says, "Who was the last messenger petrified by the demon general before the Bowman?" After the game, he starts his revenge, a story separated into 3 acts: Picnic Panic, the Tower of Time, spelt T-H-Y-M-E, and the Clockwork Castle. In the ARG, it was revealed that the Demon King you fought in the game was actually a fake, and the remnants of the actual Demon King are being held in the Clockwork Castle. Barmathazel's revenge would entail schemes in order to bring back the real Demon King. After defeating him in the underworld, you think he might have died, but he mastered the power of speed, so he phase-shifted into the Picnic Panic timeline. You all know what happens in Picnic Panic. He kidnaps Fobkins to lure the ninja into a trap, and then he does the thing. And then you do like a Punch-Out style battle. After he gives a magic seed to Kolos and Suzis to assist him in planting the seed, the Tower of Time and the 3rd act are kind of a mystery. But hopefully we'll get a DLC for both of these. But Sabotage is currently working on a new game, but hopefully we can get these new DLCs after that new game releases. After the underworld, Manfred catches you while you're falling, and he brings you to the ninja village, again, but this time it's a soldier outpost. You become the Western hero for the soldier, and you give the scroll to the soldier. You go back to the shop, and you finally get to open the closet. You find out that it's literally just a closet for blue robes. It was literally just a standard closet. But you take one, and you become the shopkeeper for the soldier. This is where people think that the bowman could be the shopkeeper, but it's just not true, as I said before. The soldier acts like you when you first arrive, jumping around and all that. But then the soldier doesn't arrive. The shopkeeper mentions how the Tower of Time skips to either when your messenger dies, or when your messenger goes to the shop. Meaning that the soldier is dead. Nobody mentioned to you that you had to send Quirble to the soldier before he died. So now, you have to finish the job. I'll start with the music notes and what they mean. The Key of Hope materialized due to the repeating intentions of countless villagers wishing that their messenger would make it to the mountain. That's why it's found near the ninja village. The Key of Strength was forced into being by Quills and Suzis' physical strength, so this one is most likely was manifested right after giving Quills and Suzis the power Thistle. The Key of Love was left by the guardian gods long ago so that it could be used in the greatest time of need. This could mean that the guardian gods knew that something bad was going to happen, but I don't know, that's just speculation. Earlier I said how music notes also could take the form of bad emotions, like this one, the Key of Chaos. The Key of Chaos was nature's attempt to contain the chaos of the underworld, and I don't think it really worked. The Key of Symbiosis, it was made by the Clockwork Concierge's core for centuries due to the perfect harmony of the elemental skylands. The Key of Courage appeared for the only person who was brave enough to venture into the corrupted future, that person being you in this case, but it probably could have been anyone who went to the corrupted future. The two notes that are already collected are the Key of Adventure and the Key of Revenge. The Key of Adventure was collected in the Bamboo Creek because many messengers who went there after the catacombs felt a sense of adventure when they first arrived. Now, there is no confirmed area for the Key of Revenge. All we know is that the ninja didn't collect it. If we go off the theory that the monk collected these notes, we can speculate that the Key of Revenge was manifested due to the primal fear being killed and it cursed monk in order to get revenge. Going back to the areas, we'll start with the Riviere Turquoise. This area was once a lush sacred grove, but it became charred after the demons took over. The monk drove out the demons and brought the butterfly matriarch to lead the area. Also, many magic fireflies are now scattered around the area. You also figure out something kind of weird and really confusing. You see the charred grove in your present time, and you see the restored version in the future, meaning that there has been a messenger in between your two time periods. But I think I have an explanation. The monk has the ability to travel to the past, so the monk was the messenger after you, and when she travels to the past, she goes to a time period in between your time and the future. But this doesn't make sense because the bowman wasn't the messenger before you. Before you, the developer mentioned that this could be related to another messenger who became a fallen, meaning that in theory, the monk was before you, and she travels to the past. None of this makes any sense. You can't travel to the past and do something in the future. That's just not how it works. Anyway, yeah, this is probably why no one else covers this game's lore. It's just that confusing. Now we enter the Sunken Shrine. This was an area built eons ago to worship the guardian gods, but it eventually sank into the ocean. The shopkeeper mentioned that the guardian gods were heroes that ascended into the guardians. I actually think you play as these heroes in the prequel game. We also know that it sank long ago because it's sunk in the 8-bit era. Also, to access this area, you have to find that artifact that the shopkeeper was trying to find, this artifact being the magic seashell. The elemental skylands are islands that regulate the climate, and the guy who runs it is the Clockwork Concierge. The boss of this area is the Clockwork Concierge, a butler superstar who tends to the islands. The Demon King corrupted the Concierge. In the Picnic Panic DLC, Ruxton talks about how Manfred is having an internship with the Concierge, and that's also kind of what happens in the main game after you beat him as well. I never talked about the Forlorn Temple when you actually first arrived, so let's talk about it now, because now it's actually important. The Forlorn Temple was the old place for the humans, but the demons took over, and now the Demon King sits on the throne. The Demon King is the ruler of the demons, and he is a clone, and his remnants are in the Clockwork Castle, but I have a whole video on that, so I'll link that in the description. The corrupted future is the future that we are trying to prevent. The corrupted future is a corrupted version of the void. After getting the Key of Courage, a chase sequence plays out where an abomination chases you. I have a theory with this monster. I think it's some sort of primal creature, like the primal fear. I have no clue what emotion it would be, maybe the primal discord. Not that kind of discord. Like, discord meaning chaos. But that's just a theory. A game theory! I'm sorry. Then, with all the notes collected, we enter Phantom's music box in order to rescue him. I already talked about Phantom in a previous video, so check that out. Plus, I already explained him with the music box cutscene. After defeating Phantom, the mask emerges, and you have to do the thing in order to defeat it. This is where we learn that anyone who is attuned to the scroll can do the thing. The mask seems to be a separate entity. In theory, the mask might be more powerful than the Demon King, but knowing that he created it, it will probably be the same power level. After the end, you see the cowboy talking to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper was telling our story to the cowboy. The cowboy is some sort of messenger in a different timeline, so the ninja defeating the curse happened in our timeline. In this different timeline, that didn't happen. The shopkeeper still knows about it because the Tower of Time is weird like that. But there's a mysterious being, pulling the strings, trying to solve it all. This being is the archivist. He's at the center of the ARG. Reshan, as he is known as his real name, he catalogs the events from the universe of the messenger, and he sends them to the Sabotage Studio, so they can turn these books into video games. Reshan is trying to deal with the Fleshmancer. He was stuck in the void, but stabilized, and he communicated to the server in order to solve this. He has an ability to manifest portals because he made a portal that allowed Rainbow Dragon Eyes, the game's composer, to join the server permanently. This guy knows a lot. He even knows the shopkeeper's identity, who tries to be anonymous. He reveals that the shopkeeper was the first member of the Order. The archivist was known as the alchemist before being the archivist. The archivist and the Clockwork Concierge both existed before the Flood. I'll probably make an entire video about this guy and the ARG. Well, there we go. The pretty much complete lore of the Messenger. I'm saying pretty much because I probably missed some things. Well, no one's perfect. Well, subscribe, join the Discord server, and have a good day.